Aaron Barnes, Next Generation Wellness. There is never a stormy night that does not pass, but when we are in it, it doesn't feel like that, and we cannot make the storm go away. And so the only thing we can do is come back to our behaviours and our thinking and our feeling and start to bring some control back into that space. We can't make the storm go away. We can't fix the problems or the things that we've lost. We can't make them better now. That has occurred. We've lost a lot of things, different things for all of us right now with COVID-19, but this same learning and training that I will share with you is relevant when we lose anything. Right now, though, we've lost things. We've lost finances, businesses, livelihoods. We've lost sport, whether that's participating in it, whether that's our children playing it, whether that is us watching it. We may have lost human connection. We have lost human connection with people outside of our homes and our workplaces. We may have lost a sense of freedom. We may have lost our health in some situations. And we may very well have, or we are all experiencing this collective loss of the world as we knew it. And so this training is, what do we do with that? How do we navigate our way through this loss? Knowing that our behaviour matters, but after that we have no control. We can't fix the storm. We can't get rid of COVID-19. So what I have is a few activities based on the 4Cs methodology, my coaching methodology, to try and bring some structure and some clarity back so that you've got some steps to take forward to move through this with some really great learnings on the other side. So if I asked you, what have you actually lost? If I ask people that, the very first thing they will say is an overview of something. So that might be their business, or it might be their financial, their income. It might be that human connection. So it's a broad concept of what they've lost. But you can't fix that. And so in that state, if we're identifying our loss as something big like that, then we can't change that. So what we want to do is get underneath what we've lost so that we get it to a point where we can actually do something about it. So whilst I'm going to share my screen with you and work through a couple of little examples for you so that you can do this yourself. So just bear with me for one moment. Okay, how do we actually do this? How do we define and move through loss? So let's take a look at defining this loss in a little bit more detail. So the loss of your business. Now the 4Cs methodology, that is my coaching methodology, we move through 4 stages. Those 4 stages are clarity, conviction, consistency, and charge. And they work with the brain, they work with the body, and they work with our behaviours to instigate a different way of living. So the very first step in this is clarity, okay? And so what we need to do is ask ourselves, what is the story that I'm telling about losing my business? What is the current reality story, and what is the future story that we're telling? I'm not sure, but you are going to write this down. It could be something like, the current reality might be, this is not fair. I've worked day and night for the last 20 years and now everything is gone. It is not even my fault, and I have sacrificed time with my family, my health. I've sacrificed time with my friends, and for what? It's all just gone now. There could be a future storyline that might be something around fears around, what if I can't get a job? What if I can't support my family? What if we lose the house? Is it too late for me in my life to get back up financially? How I don't really even want to work for somebody else. I liked my team. I'd built a good team. How will I ever get what I had? How will we ever experience what we experienced? What if we lose our cars and our houses and all the things, our creature comforts? So there'll be some sort of future story that you're telling too. So what I would love for you to do is write down your current reality story and your future story. You don't have to share this with anyone, so be as honest as you like. It might take a few weeks to get a few different storylines, so then you can draw what you need to out of that. You might then look at, what are my assumptions around this? So then get a highlighter and go through those stories and highlight anything that you're assuming. That needs to go, because the moment we step into assumption, it's stealing any ability that we have to move forward and find new opportunities. You might find some things that are true, and so then you are much more clear on what you have to do to move forward through this. The next question you would ask is, what are my beliefs? what have I believed to be true? Is it a belief around I should be the financial provider for my family? Is it something like my state of finances make me a success or not? Is it something like people should be set up financially and secure at 40 years of age? So what are the beliefs that you hold true that are causing this storyline and this situation to feel really horrible? What are the fears? Would be the next question. What are you afraid of with this? Is the underlying fear of all of this knowing that perhaps your beliefs are around that you should be the provider, and that now what the fear is that you're actually a failure at life, a failure at business, a failure generally, not good enough? What are the human needs that may have been lost through the loss of your business? Is it the loss of the human need of certainty around knowing what the future holds? Is it the loss of a feeling of significance? So you could have lost both of those human needs, and they could have been your top two human needs. And so that makes you feel even worse. And so we have to try and find a way to bring those human needs back in. You could have, if we look at what you've lost from an emotional need perspective. So you might be a really organised person and you may have lost your routine and structure through the loss of your business. And those things are really important for you at an emotional need. So each of us have different emotional needs depending on our personality type. And most likely through the loss of something at this stage, you will have lost the emotional support of those emotional needs, which makes it very dangerous in terms of your well-being. The next question we can ask is, what about my values? What do I value? And has the loss of my business really hurt those values? So if my top two values were purpose and integrity, then there could be a feeling that you've lost both of them. So this idea is getting underneath more and more what this loss looks like. Then you can ask yourself, what am I actually feeling? What is it? Is it overwhelm? Is it regret? Is it fear? Is it worry? Is it vulnerability? Is there sadness? Trying to work out what the actual fear is. And then what does that feeling lead you to do? Are you angry in your communication at home? Are you hiding away? Are you eating and drinking alcohol? Are you oversleeping, or are you not sleeping enough? What do those feelings lead you to do from a behavioural point of view? And then once we look at all of this, and sometimes it can be helpful to get someone to look from the outside. It's what I help people with, to start to see it from a different perspective if you're stuck with this. But what you can look at when you go through all of this is see what you've truly lost. And sometimes in this instance, for example, you may find that you've lost routine and structure. You may have lost the experiences that you were having. You may have lost your ability to spend. It might be holidays. There might be a loss of significance and purpose. So as soon as you know what you've lost, we can find different ways to bring that perception of those things back and a different feeling of life while you get back on track. So that's clarity. We're getting underneath it all. The very next step is to build conviction, to allow us to believe that there is a different way through this. And so we need to tame that stress response. And there's a whole range of things we can do in that, but we'll keep it simple for now. And we need to activate the neocortex, the part of the brain that says there is a goal and I can work towards it, and this is how I'm going to do it. So what we need to do is ask ourselves, what are the key learnings about myself? What have I learned from that clarity piece in unpacking what it means to have lost my business? Now, it might mean that I need to feel like I have structure and purpose in my day. I might learn that I need a feeling of significance, and that significance came from my business. It came from me supporting my family financially, and it came from the actual work that I did in that business. I know some learnings about myself might be that I like to provide new experiences and fun for my family, and the business and the income from that allowed me to do that. I might know the key, or have learnt the key learning about myself, that I like to feel certain about my future. So we can come out of this clarity bit with a conviction around who am I as a person and what is important to me. To build conviction, we need to proactively input new data so that we tame that amygdala and have something that we're working towards for that neocortex, that logical data, that positive data. So life right now is not wrong. It's just different to what it was, what you knew it to be. So the question right now is, how do you make it better than it was? What will you take with you from the life that you knew, that was beneficial, that you loved? And what do you choose to leave behind? Because we have an opportunity now bigger than ever to really make these choices. The next question you could say is, how do I tell a new story? What is it? And you are going to write this down. So if you've pulled out some new learnings and new knowledge about yourself, that you need purpose and structure and significance, you might have unpacked the fact that you want to still be self-employed. You might have decided that you want to leave behind the fact that you were not there for your family or friends or health through that self-employment. And then you write a new story. You might say a new story around, I know that I need structure, significance, and purpose, but I want to experience greater time with my family. I want to show better leadership with my kids. I want more nurturing of my friendships, and I want to invest more time into my health, physically and mentally. I want to work for myself again, but I don't want the overheads of a shop front. So you can go into lots of detail around how you actually want life to look moving forward so that you can build in this conviction into your day so that there's hope and possibility to move forward. The third step in the 4Cs methodology is consistency. And this is about how do we make our behaviour matter, the things that we're doing to create this change. And so what we need to do is interrupt autopilot, which comes about faster when we're in fear. That is why we raise hope and possibility. But we are in autopilot 95% of the time. So what we do is interrupt autopilot by using things like a phone calendar popping up every hour or however often you need that, through a post-it note stuck around the house, in the car, in the bathroom, in the bedroom, wherever you can interrupt your automatic behaviours. And then you can decide, what is the new thinking that I need? Is the new thinking around why I think I'm not good enough without the contribution of finances to my family? Is the new thinking, can I shift that by identifying other areas now in this new life that I choose to contribute to my family in line with what I'm wanting, with more time and more leadership? So what is it? What's the new thinking you can put in that shifts the old thinking of my contribution through finances, where my identity and my significance lies? What can you change that to? So you might put a phone alert in your phone to say, what other ways am I succeeding and achieving and contributing to in life? Now, the key to this too is that we must get a new feeling. So we must look at, when I ask that question of how else am I succeeding, when I answer that, I need to embody that answer. I need to be present to that answer. I need to feel what the feeling is induced by that new answer. So if it's you're answering it saying, I am contributing at home and I am present with my children, I am leading them through really great life skills, then embody what that feeling feels like to be doing that. So we must get that emotional connection to start that hard wiring of the brain. And then we look at, what is the new doing you need in order to start living that new way of life that you're wanting. From a behavioural point of view, what are you doing? And we need to give structure to that. So we want those small wins for the brain. That is our aim. So we get hope and possibility. So are they things like, I'm going to set a family meeting once a week where we're going to talk about our new roles, and then each week talk about some of the new experiences we can have in a family that are different to what we knew, but they're not wrong. So it might be things like we all go to the beach and do things that don't cost a lot of money. It might be that we go to the park together. It might be that we sit and watch a family movie together. It might be that you go through the program, the family reset program that I have, which gives you these family dinner nights and all these wonderful learnings and topics around things like boundaries and perception and perspective and empathy, and you can teach these things. So there's a way of getting new experiences that in the long run, at the end of life, you can still look back and see it as a sense of achievement, of contribution. You might schedule health things in because that is part of your new plan. Friendships, you might call someone or call someone probably at the moment in isolation, but otherwise you might see someone and organise that. You might organise new learning. You might invest in something that's within your budget to help you learn a new way of living. So this behaviour and this consistency point is really, really critical. The way we get to the four C's is the charge is around accountability. So having some sort of accountability process, whether that is someone that you're accountable to. The Whole Life Success Planner that I have is a daily accountability tool, bringing all of the four C's into play so we get different thinking and feeling and doing, and we get greater conviction and we get greater consistency so that we get to charge. But we need some sort of accountability to a new way of living because it's different and the brain likes status quo, so it's difficult to change, but it's possible. We need to find that new purpose, a new way of living that's different but not wrong. We need to find intrinsic motivation in what we're doing, so really connecting with what we're doing and really aligning what our direction is with our values. And we do have the opportunity now to turn it on its head and really align it with what we want in life. So this is how we start to unpack and redefine our loss of something big like a business into smaller things. So we look at, how do I bring more significance to my day? How do I bring more purpose to my day? Where are the beliefs that I maybe have held to be true that actually I really need to change? So it gives us some insight into what are my next steps as a person and around my behaviours, because our behaviours do matter and it is the only thing we have control over. To give you another example on how this would work is, for example, your children. So how right now is this situation of COVID-19 affecting your children? What have they lost? And so they might have lost school, but that's the big thing. And if we just focus on school, that's not helpful for them in moving through that and defining that. So you might be asking them, what does losing school mean for them? What are they feeling? And going through that same process that we've gone through, asking those same questions. The loss of school for them might make them feel scared. It may mean a loss of routine, of stability, of security. We have to look at, for them, what's true in it. What are they making up? What are they assuming? How can they write a better story? And then what can they do each day to set themselves up from a behavioural point of view or a thinking point of view that allows them to bring more stability in and more security? That just may mean that they need more hugs than they ever have before, or they may need a different behaviour from you or from them to support a different feeling that they need. So you can use the same questions for your children. The My Best Life Planner for children, part of that, the sneaky brain element in the unique me area, is around showing them how to unpack the storyline that they have and to write a better story. And then the planner each day gives them the structure and the self-discovery and the insight so that they can continue to move through, which these skills are important for not just our children, but for ourselves. So both of those planners, the planner for the children and planner for the adults, are very relevant for the accountability and the keeping on track of this change and that self-discovery little by little. So for now, I really invite you to go through that process and ask those questions. And it's not easy, so sometimes you have to sit on them for a little bit. But I assure you that by moving through it, you will come out with some key actions that you can take that can build that hope and possibility and take you little by little towards a new direction and a new trajectory of life, and design it the way that you choose to design it and that feels good and is values aligned. Until next time, take care and be well.